You're listening to the Chad Hasty Show on demand. Good for you. Now download the KFYO app and listen live weekday afternoons 5 to 7 p.m. Central.
Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is the Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
Good evening, Lubbock, Amarillo, Abilene, Wichita Falls, Midland, Odessa. Over in Dallas, Fort Worth, down in Houston, over in El Paso, and anywhere else inside or outside the great state of Texas, wherever you may be listening on this Friday evening. Welcome in. An Open Line Friday here on the Chad Hasty Show. Glad to have you with us. My final show of the year. Well, except for those of you in Lubbock, where we'll be on the air tomorrow from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Wing Shack, 54th and Slide Road. But as far as this show goes, it'll be the final, my final show of the year. We'll have a best of on Monday, and then Steve Evans will be with you next week, taking you the rest of the week into the Christmas holiday. So look forward to that. I'm sure he will have some excellent shows lined up for you next week, and then he'll be back with you again the week after, and I'll be back on January 2nd. Of 2024. So, want to hear from you today on all the issues of the day. Anything you would like to talk about, feel free to weigh in on any of the big topics of the day, of the week. Anything that you'd like to talk about. Remember, that's what we do on Open Lines. Anything that you'd like to get into, we take your phone calls, your text messages as well at 1-800-687-0790. That's 1-800-687-0790. That's one of the ways you can call in. You can also text in at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. If you do text in, make sure you give us a name. We want to know who you are, or who you think you are, who you say you are, and where you're listening from. And when you call in, well, you just have to get through Nick. He's the first voice you hear from when you dial in today. And am I seeing this right? No sweater today? Is there? Okay, you're wearing a sweater. Okay, it's kind of all right, it's a different type of sweater. Okay. I was not seeing the sweater, but now I am. Okay, Nick, the first voice. I was wondering if we were going to just wrap up 2023 like that and just go crazy. But no, he is wearing a sweater today. Nick, everything good? Everything looking all right for the show today? Yeah, that's good. Okay, just making sure that we're good to go. We are. You can tell it is the holiday season up here because nobody's here. Right? They're hang on. Let me look at. Let me look here. Let me look at my countdown. We have 10 days. 10 days until Christmas, and this building is acting like tomorrow's Christmas Day because nobody is here. It's Nick and I think that's it. Is Michael over there? He may or may not be there. Who knows? But that's it. None of the bosses are here. We know that. So I think we can get away with anything. I think I could light up a cigar right now. Nobody would care because no one's in charge at this point. And so that's something to look forward to. I may light up a cigar during the break because who's going to know? And then on the when next week comes around, I'm not going to be here. So what are they going to do? Even if they blame me, I'm gone. What are you going to do? You have to move on. You have to move on. And in 2024, you can't blame me then because too much time has gone by. So I think this is an excellent idea. We'll probably break out the cigars during the first break. Hopefully you've had a nice day out there. We've got a lot to get into. here on the program today, including we've got Rudy Giuliani being ordered to pay over $148 million to Georgia election workers. This from CNBC happening this afternoon. A federal jury today ordering Rudy Giuliani to pay over $148 million to two Georgia election workers for falsely claiming they committed ballot fraud in the 2020 presidential election. The jaw-dropping figure includes $75 million in punitive damages. Give me a break. Along with the awards of $20 million each to the two election workers for emotional distress. Emotional distress. You get $20 million. And then on top of that, $16 million more for defamation. Giuliani was in court as the verdict was read aloud by the federal judge. I don't think Giuliani has $148 million. After the court adjourned, the plaintiffs embraced while Giuliani, who stood alone, back to back, without looking up. Outside the courthouse, Giuliani called the damages figure absurd and vowed to appeal. It seems a little absurd to me. The defamation damage award, the latest in a series of legal blows to Giuliani related to his service as top campaign lawyer for Trump in efforts to reverse the president's loss in the election. Haven't seen Trump say anything about this just yet today. But $148 million, yeah, if I was Giuliani, I'd probably appeal as well. It's a lot of money. It's quite a bit of money. $20 million for emotional distress. Quick, someone name the people involved here. Yeah, exactly. Nobody has any idea. $20 million for their stress that they feel. My goodness. 1-800-687-0790. You can send in your thoughts on the text line. And that's just one of the stories coming out this afternoon that we can get to and sound off on as well as Rudy Giuliani. $148 million. Gosh, that's so much money that he's going to. And I'm looking here on social media. Haven't seen anything from the Trumpster on this one. The jury, they said that, according to this, goes back to an 8-member panel awarded Ruby Freeman and her daughter Shay Moss $16 million apiece for claims that Giuliani defamed them, as well as $20 million apiece for emotional distress. The jury of Washington, D.C. residents, I'm sure they were very fair, determined that Giuliani must pay the $75 million in punitive damages penalty intended to deter him and others from engaging in similar smear campaigns in the future. It's amazing how you can get away with calling Rudy Giuliani anything that you want to. You can say anything about Rudy Giuliani at all, but Rudy Giuliani comes out, believes that the election is stolen, and he's got to pay $148 million, and he's got to go through a D.C. court in order to get quote-unquote justice. Yeah, okay. Sure. Let's see. Some text messages coming in. Chad, I thought you'd be in Barbados by now. No, not Barbados. No, not going there. Let's see. Chad, can you be careful on thinking time will run out before someone would care about you lining up a cigar today. The crazy Dems waited 3 years before prosecuting Trump. That's a good point. That is a good point. Point well taken. Well, we may not line up then. We may put that off until a little bit after the show today. Michael in Amarillo, they're trying to financially break him so he cannot continue fighting. Well, that's what they're trying to do to everybody. Listen, the left, if they really want to take you out, they're going to try to ruin your life. They're going to try to financially break you, socially break you, anything they can do. This is going on to the Trumpster himself and his family. They're trying to financially break them. This is just one of the ways of putting pressure and trying to separate everyone from Trump and trying to get everybody to flip on Trump as well. 1-800-687-0790. When we come back, we'll get to your phone calls, your text messages, also your running topics. We got a couple of those lined up for you today here on the Chad Hasty Show.
Melikilikimaka is a thing to say on a bright Hawaiian Christmas day.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Diane from Michigan, a disabled senior citizen trying to get by. Henry from Florida, a veteran fighting to make ends meet. Elena from Arizona, a mother struggling to feed her daughter. Hi, I'm Connie Britton, and I support Feeding America because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year, like Diane, Henry, and Elena. Learn more at feedingamerica.org. Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Hey, it's Chad Hasty, and I want...
It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Appreciate you tuning in today. Hopefully you're having a wonderful Friday. Hope you had a great week as maybe some of you wrapping things up. Maybe you're getting ready to do a nice little vacation or something and get away as we get closer and closer to Christmas. Or maybe you still got a week to go before taking off a little bit of time. We appreciate you joining us this Friday evening. Today, your running topics. We've been getting to a lot of Christmas stuff this week, and today we ask you this: when it comes to Christmas, the best or worst Christmas gifts you ever received or even gave. So if you know you gave a bad gift or a great gift, what was the gift? If you got a really good gift or something memorable, want to know about it. And if you got just a horrible gift, the worst gift you ever got, we want to hear that one too. So the best and worst gifts that you've ever gotten on Christmas. I want to hear from you on the text line, 806-680-2790. You can also call in 1-800-687-0790. Another way to put it, I guess, would be most memorable gift, because even if it was the best or the worst, that is a memory. That is something. So, best or worst Christmas gift that you ever received. You can text in 800-680-2790 and let us know. Yesterday we told you about that movie that's going to be coming out next year, April. Civil War. The headline from Rolling Stone: Dictator Trump plans to deploy massive number of troops on U.S. soil. Well, what are they talking about? Well, the evil Trump. He wants to put U.S. troops along the border. Trump's plans to give himself sweeping powers on day one of a new administration include sending vast numbers of U.S. troops, potentially hundreds of thousands, to close the southern border and help build a new network of detention camps. Three people familiar with the situation tell Rolling Stone. I like how they put that, detention camps. He's going to do camps out there. Trump and some of his lieutenants repeatedly stated that any second administration must treat migrant crossings as war on American soil. During Trump's first term, officials and attorneys had thwarted similar plans for a military police force at the border due to legal fears, according to former top officials such as the Secretary of defense. Now the former president determined to surround himself with aides and MAGA-friendly lawyers who can make such draconian policies perfectly legal in a potential second term. Two sources close to Trump say, here's what Trump really needs to do. Trump needs to find these people who are speaking to Rolling Stone, and he needs to get rid of them. He's got to find a way to get rid of some of these people. Because many of the presidential candidates who are running have said that they too would put U.S. forces along the border. I've got no problem bringing in the military and making sure that we have a secured border. We do have what amounts to a war zone on the southern border. You have people flooding across the border. You have fentanyl flooding across the border. We need to make sure that we have a secured border. And this is something that all the Republican candidates have been talking about. This isn't new. So to make this idea like it's some draconian idea, and I love how it comes out just a couple of days after the whole Civil War trailer that was posted. There are a lot of Republicans who want the border closed. They want the border secured. I understand people who want to come to this country, those who want to come here and have a better life, get better jobs, have a better future for their families. I get that. I understand it. And I don't blame anybody for wanting to get to this country, but you do have to do it the right way. And when you have fentanyl flooding across the border, when you have people who are coming across who are taking advantage of U.S. citizens here, we've got a problem. Remember, we're just less than a week from when a high school cheerleader was killed by someone in this country illegally. It's something that we've got to get a hold of. See, some text messages coming in. Rob and Abilene, can you explain to me the difference in politics between George Bush and Nikki Haley? I don't see a difference. When you consider Bush as a McConnell rhino, I think that, well, and this goes back to something that I brought up about Tim Scott. Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, they say a lot of the exact same things as every other Republican has said in the past. And I'm assuming you're meaning George W. Bush. Maybe you mean George H.W. Bush too. But basically, when you look at the Republican field and you look at Nikki Haley and you look at Tim Scott, and I like Tim Scott. I think he's a very nice guy. But he's not really saying anything different than what we heard from George W. Bush, than what we heard from Jeb Bush, than what we heard from Marco Rubio, than what we've heard from Republicans in the past. It's kind of the same old, rinse and repeat. They may look different. They may have different characteristics. They may change a few of their talking points from back in 2000 until today. But it's also why they're polling at about, if you're Nikki Haley, 12%, and why Donald Trump's at about 50 to 60%. It's why Ron DeSantis, he's kind of in that, he's in that middle group. He's a little bit MAGA, a little bit establishment. I tend to think he's a little bit more MAGA than he is establishment. I think he's more of a fighter than the establishment. You know, something that I see a lot of from Nikki Haley and Tim Scott and what we saw with the Bushes, what we see with McConnell, is we just don't want to rock the boat too much. We want to say some good things. We want to say a few good things, and we want to be perceived as wanting to do something different, but we don't want to rock the boat too much, and we definitely don't want to fight people, and we don't want to pick fights in the news media. Republican voters want a fighter. Republican primary voters want a fighter. That's why Donald Trump is leading. That's why a lot of folks really liked Ron DeSantis at the very beginning of this thing. Now, I think if Trump wasn't in the race, I think Ron DeSantis would be pretty far ahead of Nikki Haley. Now, I think he'd be far ahead of Tim Scott. But, I mean, you could roll Mike Pence into that as well. There's a lot of Republicans you could roll into that same thing where they all say pretty much the exact same thing. They may have a few different points from time to time, but you roll them into you kind of roll them into the same type of person. Tim Scott just sounds different. He's a different type of Republican. Tim Scott likes to bring a little bit more faith into the conversation, which is great. But when you boil down the politics, when you boil down the talking points, is he saying anything different than what we've heard from Republicans in the past? Not really. And that's why you didn't see anyone who was just enamored with Tim Scott. Seems like a swell guy. Seems like a very nice guy. Seems like someone who would put the best interest of the country forward. But is it any different than Nikki Haley at the end of the day? If you're looking at the politics, probably not. We'll be right back.
Call in to the Chad Hasty Show at 1-800-687-0790. The Chad Hasty Show, broadcasting on the Texas Town Square Media Network.
I answered the call. Together, we fought for our nation and its people. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will continue to support my country and my community. Then and now, Semper Fidelis remains my promise. Always faithful, always Marine.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Veterans, have you downloaded the VA Health and Benefits mobile app? It makes it easy to manage your health care and benefits. In a newer feature, the app lets you review your VA prescriptions. Download the app on your iPhone or the Google App Store, or wherever you get your mobile apps. That's the VA Health and Benefits mobile app.
News sponsored by Smoker
Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. Don't you forget about Chad at Chad Hasty Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and on your radio. Now back to the Chad Hasty Show.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Appreciate you being out there today, taking your best or worst gift that you ever got during Christmas. You can send in your thoughts on the text line. We'll get to Nick's favorite or final question. Not favorite, but final. Maybe he has a favorite question. I don't know. But his final question of the week, we'll get to that coming up in the next hour of the program. We've also got another question coming your way as well. So lots of questions today here on the Chad Hasty Show as I wrap up the year. Still have a couple of weeks to go. Steve Evans will be guest hosting over the next 2 weeks, and we'll also mix in a few best ofs as well. Let's see. Texture says, I get my daughter and her husband matching Springfield Armory 9mm XDS. The smile was priceless. That's a great gift. That's a good job. I like that. Another texture is from Wes. The worst gift that I got was from my absent biological father. Never liked or watched football, and he bought me a Dallas Cowboys starter jacket. Was that what, mid-90s? Mid-90s there? A Dallas Cowboys starter jacket. I donated it to a homeless shelter. You can send in on the text line your best or worst gift that you ever received during Christmas. 806-680-2790. Let's see, a texter, this from Claire on the text line. The best and worst gift that I got for Christmas was a treadmill. Didn't appreciate the message being sent to me on Christmas, but it turned out to be a great gift after all. Yeah, you got to be careful with those. You got to be, well, with the health food stuff. Now you can get away with it a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more. But yeah, back in a few years ago, maybe not so much. I don't know, unless someone specifically asked for it. You know, if you're the husband who shows up with the treadmill and no one asked for it. You know, you show up with the exercise bike. You're like, here you go, honey. The brand new vacuum that nobody asked for. I think my dad did that one year where he bought a brand new vacuum. It was a nice vacuum. I was a younger kid, and even I went, Mom didn't ask for that. Is there just anyone out there who's horrible at giving gifts? Nick, do you have anyone in your family that is just not good at giving gifts, or is everyone pretty on spot with what they do?
I would say we're all pretty good at gifts. We don't ask for gifts,
right?
So we are the people. We tend to, every gift is a surprise.
Yeah,
nobody knows what any of the gifts are.
So no one asked for a list or anything.
We have never. In all of my years of life,
yeah,
my family, we've never done Christmas lists.
So do you all just know each other that well, or
Sometimes.
Is it truly just I don't know, let's see what happens?
So I think it's a mixture of both. We obviously we're all very close. We know, for the most part, we know what we like, what we don't like.
Yeah.
Very few years have I received a gift from my, I'll say my parents, but my mom.
Yeah, yeah, we know. We
from
get it.
Mom and Dad, and my dad's like, "Oh, what is that? Oh, yeah,
exactly. What did I do? Yeah, all right, I did good."
Very few years have I, gotten something and like,
right,
thanks.
Yeah,
almost every time I've enjoyed it. So we've really enjoyed our gifts.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's kind of cool. I like that. 806-680-2790. You can send in your thoughts on the text line and weigh in on any of the topics, anything that we've been getting into. Feel free to get in on it. Hey, I saw this story earlier out of Abilene. Let me bring this up real quick. They've got over in Abilene. I guess they finally decided on a name for the baseball franchise. The venue is set. First pitch scheduled. Now the Abilene baseball team has a new name, the Flying Bison. I like that. In November, Scott Kirk announced he would use Walt Driggers Field for their games in partnership with McMurray University. The inaugural pitch scheduled for May of 2024. The team had not chosen a name and logo yet. Instead of choosing a name privately, Abilene citizens were given the chance to vote for either the Red Dogs, the Yodel Dogs, the Flying Bison, or the Space Bison. The name Flying Bison was announced on December 14th as the winner for Abilene's newest team. During home games on Thursdays, the team will be called the Blue Sox as a tribute to the Abilene Blue Sox. Not the first baseball franchise to attempt launching in Abilene, which has caused concern regarding the success of the team, despite the fact that alcohol sales will not be allowed at the games due to McMurray University regulations. Kirk has provided assurances that this time around things will be different. Now, I'm not trying to throw cold water on anything, But, Nick, I've heard from many people who have tried to start, these not baseball teams necessarily, but, sports teams before, like in Lubbock. The minor league teams, and they always come in and go, this has got to be different. We're going to succeed. We've got the right formula. Maybe they do. I don't know. I like the name, the Flying Bison. I do like that. That's a good one. So it's not just giving them a beer and a hot dog. That's where you'll have to have concentrate more on the other part of the Fed experience rather than the fact, instead of dwelling on the back, oh my gosh, we can't sell beer here. We're gonna fail. We're not looking at it that way. We're gonna have a great time here. We're gonna entertain the fans. They shared in a interview with Big Country Homepage. So they're gonna have They got the new name. They got the new logo. I think it's better than the other choices. Nick, the Red Dogs, the Yodel Dogs, the Flying Bison, or the Space Bison. I think the Flying Bison. I think they nailed it. I think that's good. Good job to the citizens of Abilene for picking the right name. That's a good one. Hopefully they succeed. I like a little minor league baseball. They're always fun to go to. You don't have to have a beer. Just go out there, have a hot dog, have a soda, and enjoy the game. Enjoy the sights and sounds of baseball in Abilene next year. Be a lot of fun. 806-680-2790. You can send in your thoughts on the text line. Robert weighed in Oklahoma, a little bit upset about the short-term spending bill for the military that didn't have any of the wokeness taken out of it. Abortion's still in there. I'm afraid we're in for a bunch of the same at the rate we're going at. What are your thoughts? By the way, Merry Christmas, and light that cigar. Well, Merry Christmas to you as well. No, listen, and nothing's going to change anytime soon. It's not. We can pretend that it's going to once over the next year, but until you get a new president in the Oval Office, not much is going to change. I just don't see the Republicans fighting that hard on anything right now. Not until they win the Oval Office. I mean, they have no support whatsoever in the Senate. They've got lukewarm support in the House. Remember, Democrats hold together on stuff. Republicans don't. Republicans splinter, they fall apart, and they fight each other. Democrats, they hold together. They hold together very strong, and then they blame Republicans if anything bad happens. So, no, I'm with you. I don't see anything changing anytime soon. Not until Republicans maybe have the White House. But even then, let's go back. Obamacare is still law. So it's what you can't take every promise that either party makes. You can't just take it and run with it and think it's going to happen. Obamacare is still there. Obamacare is still around. There's a lot, the border is not secured. There's a lot of things Republicans have promised in the past that just haven't happened. We're still spending at astronomical rates. And when Republicans were in control last time, Republicans still spent a lot of money. So no, it's going to continue, and we're going to have more people get elected. Got to have more conservatives get elected, and more conservatives with a spine who will fight. That's who we need. We need some people who are not afraid to get dirty on this thing and really fight some of the spending that's been going on. 806-680-2790. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages, your favorite, best, worst Christmas gifts that you've ever gotten. What are they? We'll be right back on the Chad HD Show.
This is Clay Travis. Every day on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, we're talking about news that matters to you and affects you.
Whether or not Trump would be a president of retribution. This is the term you'll hear a lot, right? Is he going to come into office and it's interesting. They're trying to lock him up, right? But they're worried that if he becomes president, then he'll lock all of them up.
This is Buck Sexton. While you're working, spend your middays with Clay and Buck, and then drive home with Chad Hasty, weekday evenings from 5 to 7 p.m.
To battle is to fight, to struggle, to overcome, and ultimately for the Marine Corps, it means to win. There is no alternative. It's not just a statement of intent. It's a promise to our nation. A promise kept for more than 2 centuries. A promise of the Marines.
Bank on better with
Noel, born is the King of Israel.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Appreciate you being out there today. Fox News, pro-Palestinian White House interns fear witch hunt after signing a letter ripping Biden's Israeli plans. Quote, we're all very scared at the moment, an intern tells Politico. Politico reported Wednesday that some White House interns are now scared as the administration allegedly embarks on a witch hunt to find out which of them signed a letter demanding a push for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. And it felt like the Biden administration's on a witch hunt to, quote, find us. The alleged drama in the West Wing comes days after dozens of White House interns signed a letter addressed to Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris demanding a permanent ceasefire in Gaza between Israel and Hamas forces. The war has exposed several rifts on the left between pro and anti-Israel factions. The letter declared that we, the undersigned fall White House interns, will no longer remain silent on the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people. We are Palestinian, Jewish, Arab, Muslim, Christian, Black, Asian, Latin, white, and queer. Now, no word yet on how many of the interns believe if all of those groups would be allowed to thrive in Palestine or not. Well, we heed the voices of the American people, call the administration to demand a permanent ceasefire. The letter said, we're not the decision makers of today, but we aspire to be the leaders of tomorrow. God help us. No interns put their real names on the letter. What a bunch of wusses. See, this is the kind of crap that these people are doing. They want to sign. They want to have a quote unquote signed letter. They want to march around, but they want to hide their faces. They don't want anything. They want to put their opinion out there, but they don't want any blowback. Every single one of them should be fired. You don't like what the boss is doing, you don't like what the administration is doing, then get out. I haven't seen this before from any other White House where you would have a bunch of interns running around. They're not putting their real name on anything, but they're complaining about what the president's doing. Biden's not even doing that much to help out Israel. Trust me, he could be doing a lot more. The administration could be doing a lot more than what they're doing right now. But this is the wuss left that's out there. Oh, we're going to sign a letter, but we're not going to put our real names on it because we don't want any retribution. Why? Because you have no real skin in the game at all. You have no idea what the hell you're talking about. You want to call for a ceasefire in a part of the world where they would hate just about all of you. And some of you they would murder. Oh, but you're going to stand up for a ceasefire. That's right. You're going to stand up and call for a ceasefire, the genocide of the Palestinian people. There's no genocide of the Palestinian people happening. There's a war going on. Palestinian people have been warned numerous times, leave. And yet there have been ceasefires. And guess who keeps breaking the ceasefire? Hamas keeps breaking the ceasefire, as they have done throughout history. Every time there's a ceasefire, Hamas breaks it. But the interns don't know any of that, nor do they care. But they're going to send a message. They're going to send a message to America, to the president. But they just don't want to put their name on it. Bunch of wusses. Every single one of them should be fired. Just for being a bunch of wusses, they should be fired. When we come back, your phone calls, your text, the best and worst Christmas gifts that you've ever gotten, plus Nick's final question of the week when we return.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media.
News sponsored by the Knife Guys.
Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is The Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Appreciate you being out there today. Hey, those of you in Lubbock, don't forget, tomorrow, Saturday, 2 to 4 p.m., I'll be at the Wing Shack, where we'll have free margaritas. Of course, we'll have hot wings, and we're going to have a good time. We'll be talking a little sports, be talking a little current events, little Christmas topics, and the Hotter Than Hell Wing Challenge that'll be happening at 4 p.m. You'll have to sign up before 4 p.m. For the Hotter Than Hell Wing Challenge, but be there and sign up. Who knows who else will be joining us for the broadcast tomorrow from 2 to 4 p.m. But come on out and join us, have fun, and we look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Wing Shack, 54th and Slide Road. Okay. Let's see, just a couple of other things for you. Over on our friends at the Knife Guys at 66th in Milwaukee, they're having a big one-day sale happening on Saturday. Huge selection of knives on sale for a great, unbelievable deal, 30% off. 30% off of knives, including all the battle-ready swords, select Damascus knives, plus the generic butterfly knives. It's a great time to stock up, build your personal knife collection, do a little Christmas shopping as well. And don't forget, they also have gift cards available. 30% off on Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The Knife Guys at 66th and Milwaukee. So swing on by and pick up a new knife over at our friends at 66th in Milwaukee. The Knife Guys, 30% off on many different knives and types of knives there at the Knife Guys. Stop by tomorrow. Okay, want to make sure we got all of that in there. We're asking you today the best and worst gifts that you ever got. As a kid, as an adult, when it comes to Christmas, best and worst gifts that you ever got. You can text in 806-680-2790. Robin Abilene said, had a lot of great gifts. The worst was a suggested item from Amazon. See, Amazon only thinks they know you. Let's see. Hey, Chad, Bill from North Carolina, the best Christmas present as a kid was a remote control car. The worst was a sweater. Sorry, Nick. My Aunt knitted, and thank you for a great show. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and our sweater pal, Nick. Absolute same to you, Bill. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. You can also weigh in with this. We're asking you this question as well. We'll get to Nick's final question here in just a bit. But your predictions for 2024. If you have any predictions for 2024, want to hear from you in this hour at 806-680-2790. You can also call in at 1-800-687-0790. Another texter I heard today, Taylor Swift is supporting Hamas. She's going there. I'm sure she'd be popular with Hamas, the Palestinians. Is she on the Palestinian side there? I guess I shouldn't be surprised if she is. I don't know. I guess I haven't been paying enough attention to Taylor Swift. Guess I have to pay more attention to the Swifter. I'm not a Swiftie, so I don't know. Let's see. The Flying Bison home of the Buffalo Wings. That's what they should do. They should have buffalo wings at Abilene's new baseball team. That's so awesome. That's really good. That would draw some people in, I think. If you did like a cheap wing night at the baseball stadium, now we're talking. 806-680-2790. You can weigh in on any of the topics that we've gotten to today. Any of the topics that we haven't gotten to. Feel free to get in as well. How about this story? This out of the Texas Tribune. Actually came out yesterday. Just didn't have enough time to get to it. Year after year, most Texas police departments report zero hate crimes. Yeah, the story goes through. They talk about a few different people. Bertha, Germany, looking after her children or daycare when her neighbor called. She needed to come home immediately. Someone had vandalized her home. After closing, she zipped across Texarkana. Let's see. As she pulled up, she saw a racial slur. Spray painted against the side of her house. Quote, frightened me a bit, said Germany, who is black. Why had she been singled out? Charles Norton, a neighbor who owns power washing business, offered to remove the graffiti. Moved by the offer, Germany made a Facebook post recounting the incident. The post spread. Neighbors who also had been vandalized contacted her. They were all black. Didn't take long for the police to arrest two suspects who turned themselves in for the crime wave. The men, both white, were arrested on felony charges of criminal mischief, but neither were charged with a hate crime. And their spree was never recorded as bias-motivated crime, which carries a lower burden of proof than bringing hate crime charges against suspects. According to the Texas Tribune, it's a problem for criminal justice observers and advocates for groups who are targeted for crime, including communities of color. Here's what I don't like about hate crimes. No one is ever targeted because you're really, really well liked. Right? Like nobody, if someone's going to rob you or attack you, beat you up, spray paint things bad about you, they probably don't like you. The hate crime, the whole hate crime thing, I've always had a problem with it. One, where you're attempting to get into the minds, the deep mind of somebody who is just a criminal, or just somebody who wants to be stupid. But number two, it just, unless it's like a crime of love and passion, which are very few. Crimes aren't committed against people out of love. They're not committed out of a good thing. We just want to add hate crimes onto the charges so we can show how racist people are. And as I say, a lower burden of proof that you have to have. So the Texas Tribune on a tear now to get more people, more police officers, or more police departments to go after quote unquote hate crimes. I just think go after crime. It's weird that you never see it the other way, though, do you? You don't really see a lot of hate crimes out there when it's directed at somebody who's white. I guess there's no hate crime if the person who is somebody who has been hurt, been impacted. I guess if they're white, then well, okay, that's not a hate crime. Rick in Lubbock, it's ridiculous. Almost every crime is done out of hate. Just about every single one of them, yes. But the fact that we have to add more to it, it's never made any sense to me at all. 1-800-687-0790. You can send in your thoughts on the text line. 806-680-2790. They go through, it's a pretty long article from the Texas Tribune about the lack of hate crimes that are out there. And again, they all point to different circumstances where the suspect is white and the victim is black. I think there's been crimes before where the victim is white and the suspect is black, and I never hear about hate crimes being prosecuted that way. If you're going to prosecute quote unquote hate crimes where one race has impacted another race, one race has a person of one race has committed a crime against a person of another race, you would think that would be that would be evenly applied everywhere, and it's not. Just something to think about. 806-680-2790. When we come back, we're going to get Nick's final question of the week. He's ready. He's been testing this out all week, talking to different people. We'll see if it's a good one or not. The final question for Nick for 2023, I guess. We'll be right back.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
We live Texas. We breathe Texas. The landmarks, the swagger, and the lore make us who we are. We devour the tastes and the smells of our state. You just might say there's something in the air. So do your part to help protect it. Keep your tires at the correct pressure and avoid idling at drive-thrus. Both help reduce emissions. For tips, visit drivecleantexas.org. Drive Clean Texas. Live and breathe it. Brought to you by TxDOT.
Town Square Media and Commercial.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Appreciate you tuning in on this Friday. Hope you're having a wonderful day, wonderful evening, ready for the weekend, and you better get your Christmas shopping done if you haven't done it yet. It's that time. It's time for Nick's final question of the week. Nick, I know you've been ready for this for a while now.
As always.
Yes.
As you say, focus groups galore.
Yes.
So there's 3 notable national days today. We've got the National Ugly Sweater Day. Sorry, Ugly Christmas Sweater.
Is it really?
Day.
Okay.
It is.
All right.
Very proud of that one. 3rd Friday of December, apparently. We've also have National Cupcake Day, which sounds very familiar.
Yes.
I feel like you've said that one.
Yeah. We
Recently.
did that. No, but we did it last year, I think. But
Oh,
yeah,
well,
okay,
that would
we're
make
good.
sense.
We're good. We'll go with Cupcake Day. Yeah.
yeah. But the one that I'm going to focus on today is National Underdog Day. So my question: what's your favorite underdog story?
Your favorite underdog story?
It can be real.
Yeah.
It can be fake. Maybe a family member. Maybe it happened to you. Superhero, movie, book, anything.
Favorite underdog story. Do you have a favorite?
I do.
Yeah.
I do
Okay.
have one. Now.
He lit up. He lit up when I asked him. So
Well, if you're going to ask me,
Yeah.
I'm going to say the name Louis. I think it's Louis is how you pronounce it. Zamperini.
Yeah.
You may have heard of him. World War II superstar. He withstood so much. His plane got shot down.
Right.
Landed in the ocean. Stranded for, I think, 47 days.
Yeah.
In the ocean. Him and his pilot. They both survived. And then they were captured by Japan.
Yeah.
And then I think it was 2 years they spent in a prisoner of war camp where, I mean, I read the book. The book is great. It was one of the 3 books I've read in my life. It was great. Phenomenal story.
Yeah.
He survived the whole time, nearly 2.5 years of scrounging off of scraps and it says brutally tortured.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't there. Okay, I mean from the book, yeah, it's horrendous the things that have happened to him. Both from nature and from people. He was brought to I believe Tokyo numerous times to spread negative, views of America to bring for propaganda purposes. He was brought there, and so he refused to via radio. He, they give him great meals, they dress him up, and they'd put him in front of a microphone, and they gave him a sheet of notes that he had to read, all saying, America is weaker than you think. It's, they don't stand a chance. But he refused. He never actually did it. So then, of course, he got more, punishment after that. But anyway, he ended up surviving the whole thing. I believe he passed in 2014. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
That story.
Yeah, it's a great story, absolutely. And of course, there's you've got there's just that's a good underdog story. Good underdog story, that's for sure. You can get yours in 806-680-2790. First texture says, freaking Rudy. Rudy, man. You haven't seen it yet, have you? No, okay. 806-680-2790. Your favorite underdog story. That's a good one from Nick. You can get in on the text line 806-680-2790. Also taking your favorite your best or worst Christmas gifts. We're taking those as well during the show. If you're stressed out, guess what? A lot of Americans are. According to study finds, 7 in 10 Americans consider themselves very, very stressed out. Very stressed out. According to the American people, that according to a new survey that's been done, and apparently these are the different ways that people can, I guess, de-stress or find a way to comfort themselves when stressed out. Nick, let me know if any of these are yours, okay? 7 in 10 Americans consider cooking and eating as the 6th love language. Poll of 2,000 adults who cook regularly reveal that 80% use food as a way to comfort themselves after a stressful day. 65% will use food as a way to comfort others.
I like eating food.
Yeah.
That's a comfort. If it's in front of me, I feel great comfort eating it. But making it is
you don't want to make it.
Some days I'm like, yeah, I'm in a great mood. Let's make some food. But if I'm in a bad mood and I'm stressed, I'm not like, well, I have the next hour free. Let me cook something.
Right.
I'm just like, well, it's a bad day. I'm just gonna microwave a pizza or something.
Yeah. Let's see a texture. My favorite underdog story is about a police officer, John McClane, in the Christmas movie called Die Hard. That from Rick in Lubbock. It's a great. I don't know if I'd call it an underdog story, but hey, why not? Right? Why not? Let's see. Ben Runkles from Bovey. It's been a while since Ben has weighed in, and he seems a little a little, not upset, but, a little peeved today. I'm not sure. Dear Chad, my favorite underdog story is you. Imagine someone like you, so common and so average, getting to host a radio show on a great station like KFY. Well, we're also syndicated to other stations, too. You're a great underdog story. Sweater Boy is just a welfare story, but we wish him a Merry Christmas. Sincerely, Ben Runkles from Bovina. P.S. No one from Post should have a Merry Christmas. Wow. You see, Ben has not texted in. Nick, has it been weeks? Has it been a month? I thought he was dead. And we didn't check in on him because we don't know exactly where in Bovina he lives. So we didn't check in. But I thought that maybe he had, it's been since at least Thanksgiving. Since before Thanksgiving, since we heard from him. And I just imagine that Ben Runkles is, he's up there in age. I assume. Is that fair, Nick? Do you picture Ben Runkles as someone who is elderly and maybe, a crotchety old man?
I actually, not that old. I'm thinking 50s. I could see him being.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think he's much older.
I don't know. People can be bitter at any age. Sorry, I'm still getting over the welfare story of Sweater Boy.
What makes Ben Runkles bitter, in your opinion? What is he bitter about?
I mean, now I don't live in Post.
Okay.
But I would imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe he rubbed some people the wrong way. Or maybe people in Post have rubbed him the wrong way.
Well, he definitely doesn't like Post.
Exactly.
That's quite evident that he does not like Post. I don't know about, he did say no one from Post should have a Merry Christmas. So here's what I'm thinking is that back in the 40s or 50s maybe, that Ben Runkles lived in Post. What? He lived in Post, and then he was chased out of the city of Post at some point. That's just what it sounds like to me. Best underdog story, Deadpool. Great story. And I think so. Another texter saying, what about underdog as the underdog story? Great, thank you. I was hoping somebody would bring that up. When we come back, we've got more text to get into, your phone calls as well. Final half hour when we return. Chad Hastie's Spotlight on Texas Business every Wednesday afternoon from 5 to 7 p.m. Brought to you by Texas Mutual Insurance. Texas safe, Texas strong.
Today's markets from the Texas Department of Ag.
Well, howdy, neighbors. Texas feeder cattle launch reported prices steady to $15 lower. But cattle futures were up. December live cattle futures up 55 cents, closed at $167.50. January feeder cattle futures up $1.98, closed at $219.35. March cotton futures down a third of a point, closed at $80.81. March wheat futures up a dime, closed at $6.36 a bushel. December corn steady at $4.56, and January soybean futures up 7 cents, closed at $13.14 a bushel. January soybean meal futures up $1.50, closed at $403.70 per ton. December Class B milk futures down a penny, closed at $16.20 a hundred. January crude oil futures up $2.11, closed at $71.58 per barrel, and the Dow Jones hit a new record, up 158 points, closed at 37,248. And that's Market Roundup from the Texas Department of Agriculture. I'm your commissioner, Sid Miller. Sold. And remember, friends, have a Merry Christmas.
The 5.1 and 790 KFYO. Don't you forget about Chad at Chad Hasty Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and on your radio. Now back to the Chad Hasty Show.
Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Hey, don't forget you can download the Chad Hasty Show podcast. It's available anywhere you get your podcast from. Go back, listen to some of the great interviews throughout the year on your podcast, and Don't forget to give us a nice little rating, a little 5-star rating there on the different platforms. You can also listen to Current and Cask. It's a podcast that Matt Martin and I do together. Of course, he lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and we talk whiskey, we talk current events, sports, technology, everyday life. It's not as political as this show is, but it's, well, we like to have fun and we like to review whiskeys while we're doing the podcast. It's called Current and Cask, and you can download it anywhere you get your podcast from. For those of you in Lubbock, just got this, a nice little alert from the Lubbock Police Department. Due to traffic accidents, plural, traffic accidents, South Loop at Slide Road will be closed for eastbound traffic from, the South Loop and Slide to the to South Loop and Indiana. So that's a pretty good little stretch there. For eastbound traffic, see alternate routes of travel if you're trying to go eastbound on the South Loop, you're going to run into a bad time. Apparently, they've had some traffic accidents on the South Loop. Let's see some text messages that have come in. Favorite underdog story is the birth of USA, victory in the War of Independence. It's a good one. Elizabeth weighing in. Saying, Chad and Nick, it sounds like y'all are having fun so far today. Well, we'll see. It's early. Best Christmas gift ever. I have no idea. There have been so many over the years. A fairly recent one that comes to mind was the gift of a, quote, blank check to repaint the master bedroom, kitchen, and great room. That was really nice. Worst Christmas gift ever. There's been a lot of things that didn't hit very well, but one in particular is from a former mother-in-law who never asked what I liked, never cared my taste were, but always gave me clothing that she liked. One year, I got a nice sweater that was the wrong size, absolutely not my taste. Fortunately, just laughed about it. Would like to say this also, if that's the worst gift I can think of, I guess it did pretty well. What do I expect in 2024? Business as usual. Socio-political situation going to get worse and worse, although I do believe Trump will win in a landslide. But the way that'll happen is if every single one of us gets out and votes for him, we have to swamp the still. Also expect Biden to be impeached but not convicted. Seems to be the pattern. I sure hope it's not the pattern for every presidency going forward, but I'm afraid it might be. And see, Alyssa, I'm going to pause right there before I read the rest of your text. I don't expect the Republicans to impeach Joe. I don't think it'll happen. I think they will. I think they'll do investigations. I think they'll use subpoena power, but I don't think that they'll vote for impeachment. I think instead they'll do interviews. They'll ask questions, but I don't see them moving for impeachment. Not that he doesn't deserve it, but I don't think they're going to do it. She also continued to say, locally expect my electric bill to go up by about 25%. I'm betting grocery bills will continue to increase as well. I guess I'll just have to go on a strict diet. For Nick's question, my favorite underdog story is the U.S. Olympic team. We beat the Soviet Union in 1980. That was many years ago. I'm no hockey fan to speak of, but I still remember the patriotic elation that was nationwide. Y'all have a wonderful rest of the year. May your Christmas holidays be joyous and merry and bright. May my love to you and all yours. Well, thank you, Elizabeth. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Appreciate you always being in touch with us, getting in touch with the show. It's always nice to hear from Elizabeth and so many other texters on the text line and on the callers on the phone lines. 1-800-687-0790. Let's see. Go back to this little stress, how people de-stress. People turn also to chores, like gardening at 30% and doing laundry at 25% in order to reduce stress. I don't see this is not me at all. No, I don't see me going, I'm so stressed out I got to do laundry.
The only time that doing chores sounds pleasing to me is, like I said before, if I'm in a good mood. If it's a good day,
yeah,
and I'm like, I'm feeling great. Let's, I'll do a couple little laundry, take the garbage out, do the dishes. Like, this is a good day. If it's a bad day, I'm not going to want to do anything like that. If I'm stressed, I just want to come home. I want everything to be clean already.
I could see this. I could see doing a little bit of yard work. Like, if you don't consider it a chore, if it's something you like to do, that could be de-stressing because maybe you're getting away from everybody, you're getting away from folks, and you're outside, you're among nature. So that I get. I see that. I see that one. Commissioned by Noom and conducted by One Poll, study finds that by the end of the day, 90% of people feel some degree of stress. Over a quarter claim to feel stressed all the time or often after their day is done. People feel their end-of-day stress is most often caused by their job at 40%, their to-do list at 32%, and their social life at 28%. I bet that goes up this time of year because you got a lot of parties. People get invited to a lot of parties and a lot of things that they have to go to. If you're a parent who has kids in multiple either sports or, like band, choir, that type of stuff, you got even more stuff that you got to go to. See, 89% says it's important for them to feel mentally healthy, which could go to explain why 81% make sure that they're stress-free and worry-free by the time they go to bed. Or I guess they try to be stress-free or worry-free by the time they go to bed. There's a lot of stress out there. A lot of people who are very stressed. This time of year, a lot of folks get even more stressed because of the holidays, because of family and the commitments and everything else that they have to do. It's a very stressful time of year for a lot of people. 806-680-2790. You can send in your thoughts on the text line. You can also weigh in on any of the other topics that we've been getting into today. Okay, why? This from the Daily Caller. Senate staffer caught filming gay sex tape in a Senate hearing room. Leaked amateur pornography shows a congressional staffer having sex with an unknown man in a Senate hearing room, a video obtained by the Daily Caller shows. The alleged staffer can also be seen in a photo looking back at the camera where on the table, senators often sit to ask questions during a hearing. It appears to be unprotected sex. Source identified the room to the Daily Caller as the Senate Room Hart 216 Judiciary. The Daily Caller blurred out the staffer's face because his identity has not been confirmed. What the hell is going on in the halls of Congress? What is going on in Washington, D.C.? 806-680-2790. They probably won't be fired either because it's probably a hate crime if they're fired. Just a guess. It'll probably be a hate crime if they're fired, so they won't be. They'll be demoted or something. 806-680-2790. We'll be right back.
This is Clay Travis. Every day on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, we're talking about news that matters to you and affects you.
Whether or not Trump would be a president of retribution. This is the term you'll hear a lot, right? Is he going to come into office and it's interesting. They're trying to lock him up, right? But they're worried that if he becomes president, then he'll lock all of them up.
This is Buck Sexton. While you're working, spend your middays with Clay and Buck, and then drive home with Chad Hasty, weekday evenings from 5 to 7 p.m.
There will be one less birthday party to celebrate today. One less coffee date with a friend today. One less family dinner today. Because there will be one less motorcycle rider on the road today. On average, a motorcyclist is killed on Texas roads every day. When you're behind the wheel, obey the speed limit and be extra careful at intersections. Let's start turning that one less into one more. Please share the road and look twice for motorcycles. There's a life riding on it. A message from TxDOT.
The Chad HD Show brought to you by Rock. All right, welcome back to the Chad HD Show. Appreciate you tuning in today, meaning to wrap things up. A couple of stories out of the Washington Examiner. Ron DeSantis warning Trump will cry stolen election if he loses the early states. Governor Ron DeSantis claiming his top rival, rivals, like I guess you could use that word, but not really. In the GOP presidential primary, former President Donald Trump would not accept the results of the first two early nominating states if he were to lose. Quote, if Trump loses, he will say it's stolen, no matter what, DeSantis told a reporter while campaigning in New Hampshire Friday afternoon. He'll try to delegitimize the results. He did that against Ted Cruz in 2016. In 2016, Cruz won the Iowa caucus over Trump. At first, the former president congratulated Cruz for victory before accusing him of stealing the election. Quote, Ted Cruz didn't win Iowa. He illegally stole it, Trump tweeted in the aftermath. That's why all the polls were so wrong and why he got more votes than anticipated. Bad. Tweet was deleted minutes later. Trump then called for a new contest based off the fraud committed by Senator Ted Cruz during the Iowa caucus. Either a new election should take place or Cruz results nullified, he tweeted. Trump ultimately went on to become the GOP standard bearer, defeat Democrat presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. DeSantis also claimed that Trump had likely never accepted losing as a candidate, a notable shift from his past comments. A Florida governor saying, quote, I don't think there's been a single time where he's ever been in competition for something where he didn't get it, where he's accepted. I don't think he'll do that, the Florida governor said. I hate that DeSantis is saying this. There's no reason to. DeSantis is not leading in any of the polls at all. Not leading in any of the polls whatsoever. Now, things could change by the time the Iowa caucus rolls around. He's got 31 days to try and convince people in Iowa to vote for him. And now he's trying to go out there and say that, well, Trump will never accept the results of the election. He's sounding like some of the never-Trumpers out there, like the Democrats out there who just hate Trump, and they're going to throw anything out there that they can. And DeSantis should be better than that. DeSantis should absolutely be better than that. Speaking of Trump numbers, Trump is up by 50 in the Michigan Republican primary race. The political class spent a lot of time obsessing about former President Trump's lead in the Republican early voting states of Iowa and New Hampshire, along with South Carolina. There's been less time devoted to how Trump's doing in some of the bigger states that follow the first three. Michigan holds its primary just 3 days after South Carolina, one of the biggest states on the primary calendar. A new poll by the Washington Post and Monmouth University shows Trump has a 50-point lead in the Republican race. Polls show that 63% of likely Republican primary voters in Michigan will vote for Trump versus 13% for DeSantis, 13% for Nikki Haley, 5% for Chris Christie, and 3% for Vivek Ramaswamy. Just 4%, so they had no opinion. It's not even close in Michigan. Not even close in Michigan. And let's see, the other 2024 news that's out there, Nikki Haley accepting a CNN debate invite. Former UN ambassador accepting CNN's invitation on Friday to participate in its pre-Iowa caucus debate on January 10th. Quote, the first 4 debates have been great for our campaign and for voters. We look forward to the 5th in Iowa. Haley said in a press release. Haley did not immediately confirm her intention to join the debate. When it was announced earlier this month, Ron DeSantis was quick to accept the invite and criticize his opponents for not doing the same. What's the point? If Trump's not going to be on the stage, what is the point? It's just going to be a waste of time. If Trump's not on the stage, it's just going to be a waste of time. And I know CNN's reached out to Trump. They'd love to have him on the debate stage, but I don't see that happening at all. I don't know. Maybe we'll all be surprised, and Trump will get on the stage. Again, I'd like to see him up there. Like to see him debate, but it just, if you're Trump, you're leading. You're up big. Why do it? Let's see. Gwen in Lubbock weighing in regarding the traffic alert. Whatever the situation is, looks like it's closer to Indiana Avenue. Eastbound traffic on the South Loop is a nightmare. That from Gwen in Lubbock. Stay away from the eastbound loop. South Loop 29 going eastbound. Just stay away from it. It's going to be backed up probably for a little bit now. Just stay away from it. So next week, here's what's going to be going on. Monday, Steve Evans Monday we'll have a best of. Steve Evans will be here the rest of the week, guiding you into Christmas. And then he'll return the week after. I'll be back on January 2nd. Want to thank everyone for tuning in throughout 2024. All of our great new listeners in all the other markets. Thank you as well. Glad to have everybody on board. It is, it's truly humbling to have so many great listeners in all of our markets who invite us into your homes, into your workplaces, into your vehicles. All of you who respond and interact with the show and download the podcast, we appreciate it. All of you who do business with our sponsors, God bless you all. Thank you to all of our great sponsors in all of our markets. Without all of you listening and those of you sponsoring the show, we wouldn't be here. So have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. I'll see you back here in 2024.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media.
This is Jerry Reynolds. Join me and Kevin McCarthy